You know that feeling. You wake up at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling fan spinning in the dark, and suddenly the silence feels heavy. You realize you have to get up in 4 hours to go to a job that merely tolerates you, to pay for a house you are never in, to impress neighbors you do not even like. And the terrifying part? You have to do this for another 35 years. Society tells you this is normal. They tell you that working until you are 65 is the safe path. I am here to tell you that is a lie. That is not safety. That is slow motion financial suicide. Retiring 10 years early isn't about getting lucky with a meme stock or finding a bag of cash on the highway. It is a boring, repeatable mathematical anomaly. If you do not figure this out, the alternative is grim. We are talking about eating flavorless, generic brand cat food in a state-run facility while watching reruns of Wheel of Fortune. By the end of this video, you will have the exact daily formula to quit your job a decade early. But first, we have to look at why 90% of people fail before they even start. We need to define the enemy, and the enemy is the word average. In the world of finance, being average is a catastrophe waiting to happen. The average person is broke, stressed, and one missed paycheck away from total collapse. Yet, we are desperate to fit in. We suffer from what I call automotive Stockholm syndrome. You walk into a dealership, smell that new car scent, and suddenly you are in love with your captor. You sign papers for a 7-year loan at 8% interest for a truck that is built for off-roading but will never touch anything rougher than a speed bump at the mall. You convince yourself this debt is an asset. It is not. It is an anchor. Or maybe you financed a jet ski because you wanted to feel the wind in your hair for the 2 weekends a year you actually use it. Congratulations. You are financing a lifestyle you cannot afford to impress people who do not care about you. This is the cost of normal. Following the herd guarantees you work until you die. That is the default setting. When you carry debt, you are experiencing financial drag. Think of your money as an army. Every dollar is a soldier designed to go out and capture more dollars. When you pay interest on consumer debt, you are taking those soldiers out back and shooting them in the foot. You are crippling your own army before the battle even begins. You cannot win the war for wealth when half your troops are bleeding out in the infirmary of bad decisions. The math of disaster is simple. If your lifestyle expands every time your income expands, you have zero velocity. You are running on a treadmill that is slowly speeding up. To escape this, you have to undergo a massive psychological shift. You have to be okay with being the weird one in your friend group. While they are upgrading their phones every September and leasing luxury SUVs to look successful, you have to be comfortable driving a 10-year-old sedan and using a phone that still has a home button. If you look like everyone else, you will end up like everyone else. And trust me, you do not want to end up like everyone else. Once you stop bleeding money, you have to understand the only number that actually matters. Now that we have established that debt is a parasite, we have to talk about the antidote. This is the holy grail. It is the only number that matters. It is called the gap. The gap is simply the distance between your income and your expenses. That is it. That is the whole game. Most people think the solution to their anxiety is a higher salary. They think, if I just made $100,000, I would be fine. No, you wouldn't. I know doctors making $300,000 a year who are broke. Why? Because they spend $305,000 a year trying to look like doctors. If you make $200,000 and you spend $199,000, your gap is $1,000. You are technically one bad transmission failure away from insolvency. Meanwhile, the guy making $60,000 who lives on $30,000 has a gap of $30,000. He is crushing you. He is winning the game while you are just looking good in the locker room. You have to stop worshiping income and start worshiping the gap. Think of your finances like a bathtub. Your income is the water pouring in from the faucet. Your expenses are the drain. Most of you are obsessed with turning the faucet handle harder. You are begging for raises, working overtime, starting side hustles, and stressing yourself out to increase the flow. But you have left the drain wide open. In fact, Every time you turn the water up, you drill a bigger hole in the bottom of the tub. This is called lifestyle creep, and it is the single greatest destroyer of wealth in the modern world. It starts small. You get a 5% raise, so you decide you are too good for the generic peanut butter. Suddenly, you need the organic almond butter that costs $18 a jar. You move from the apartment with the weird smell in the hallway to the luxury complex that has a gym you will never use and a pool filled with screaming children. You upgrade your life exactly to the level of your new income, keeping your gap at zero. You justify it as treating yourself. We love that phrase, don't we? I worked hard. I deserve this. So you start buying $20 salads for lunch because making a sandwich is beneath you. You convince yourself that spending $7 on a coffee is self-care. Let me be clear. Paying a 400% markup on bean water is not self-care. It is financial masochism. You are literally eating your future freedom one overpriced crouton at a time. The salad isn't just $20. It is $20 plus the compound interest that money would have earned over the next 30 years. That salad actually cost you $200 in future retirement money. Was the kale worth it? Here is the math that nobody teaches you in school because they want you to be a good little consumer. If you spend 100% of your income, you can never retire. You will work until you are dead. If you spend 0% of your income, you can retire right now. Obviously, you can't starve, so the truth is somewhere in the middle. But here's the magic number, 50%. If you can live on 50% of your income, for every 1 year you work, you buy 1 year of freedom. If you do this starting at age 25, you are done by 42. You are free. You are walking away while your friends are just entering their peak earning years and upgrading their kitchens for the third time. The math doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care that you deserve a nice car. It only cares about the gap. The wider the gap, the faster you escape the prison. You have to become obsessed with widening this gap. You have to look at every expense and ask, is this worth working an extra week of my life for? Because that is the trade you are making. Once you understand that your savings rate is the accelerator pedal for your life, you realize you need a system to press that pedal to the floor every single day. Now that you understand the gap, here is the specific daily habit you need to execute. I can hear you screaming at your screen right now. I don't have an extra $100 a day. I am already eating ramen and using single-ply toilet paper. Calm down. The daily 100 isn't necessarily about finding a crisp Benjamin Franklin on the sidewalk every morning. It is about identifying the $100 of inefficiency that bleeds out of your life through 1,000 invisible cuts. It is about hunting down the stupid tax you pay, simply because you are not paying attention. Most financial gurus will tell you to stop buying coffee. They act like a hazelnut latte is the only thing standing between you and a yacht. That is lazy advice. Sure, making coffee at home helps, but we need to look at the bigger leaks. We need to look at the subscription services you signed up for 3 years ago to watch one show and then forgot about. You are likely paying $15 a month for a streaming service you haven't opened since Tiger King was popular. You are donating $40 a month to a gym that you haven't physically entered since 2019. You are paying a lazy tax on your car insurance because you haven't shopped around for a better rate in 5 years. This is where the math gets absolutely terrifying in the best way possible. It is called the Rule of 752. This is the multiplier that changes everything. The math states that for every $1 you cut from your weekly spending, you will have $752 in your investment account after 10 years, assuming a standard 7% return. Let that sink in. That isn't just a number. It is a weapon. That means if you are spending $50 a week on takeout lunches because you are too lazy to pack a sandwich, you aren't just losing $50. You are burning $37,600 over the next decade. That is a brand new car. That is a down payment on a house. That is a year of freedom, literally eaten in the form of mediocre burritos. When you look at your spending through the lens of the Rule of 752, you stop seeing price tags and start seeing time. This brings us to the opportunity cost mindset. This is the mental shift that separates the wealthy from the workers. Every time you tap your card, You are making a trade. You are trading your future freedom for a temporary dopamine hit. You have to ask yourself, is this pair of sneakers worth 3 more days of sitting in a cubicle under fluorescent lights listening to Karen from HR talk about her cats? Usually, the answer is no. To make this practical, you need to implement the 24-hour rule immediately. Here is how it works. For any purchase over $50 that is not a survival necessity like medicine or basic groceries, you must wait 24 hours. You put it in your cart, physical or digital, and you walk away. You will be shocked at what happens. The marketing hypnosis wears off. The dopamine craving fades. You wake up the next morning and realize you do not actually need a heated blanket for your dog or a Bluetooth toaster. By simply waiting, you save thousands of dollars a year without actually depriving yourself of anything you truly value. You are just cutting out the impulse noise. But here is the catch. You can slash your budget to the bone, you can live in a tent and eat bark, you can find that daily $100 of inefficiency. But if you take that money and just let it sit in a checking account earning 0.01% interest, you are still going to lose. Saving the money is step one, but putting it under your mattress is financial suicide. You need to give that money a job. You have stopped the bleeding. You have found the gap. You are scraping together that daily $100 by not buying things you do not need to impress people you do not like. Now, we have to build the engine. This is where the magic happens. We need to talk about compound interest, but not in the boring way your high school math teacher explained it while he had chalk on his sweater vest. Think of compound interest as money having babies. Then those babies grow up and have their own babies. And then those grandbabies have babies. Eventually, you have a massive army of dollars reproducing at an exponential rate, and the best part is that you do not have to feed them or pay for their college tuition. They just work for you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They do not call in sick, they do not complain about the break room coffee, and they do not ask for vacation time. This process is exactly like rolling a snowball. When you first start, it is miserable. You are in the freezing cold, packing tight little handfuls of snow together. It is small, it is heavy, and you are pushing this pathetic little lump up a steep hill. You push and push for months, maybe years, and it feels like nothing is happening. You look at your account and think, I have been eating rice and beans for 2 years, and I only have $20,000? This sucks. This is where most people quit. They buy the jet ski. They kill the snowball. But if you keep pushing, you eventually reach the top of the hill. You nudge that boulder over the edge, and gravity takes over. The snowball starts rolling down the other side. It picks up more snow in one rotation than you packed by hand in an entire year. It gets bigger, faster, and more terrifyingly powerful until it becomes an avalanche that nothing can stop. Let's look at the real numbers, assuming you actually execute the daily $100 strategy. That is roughly $3,000 a month. If you invest that consistently into a boring, low-cost index fund returning a historical average of 8%, here is what happens. After 10 years, you do not just have the $360,000 you saved. You have roughly $550,000. That is cute. But watch what happens next. You keep doing this. After 20 years, you have nearly $1.8 million. After 30 years, you are sitting on $4.5 million. You put in roughly $1 million of your own cash over those 30 years, but the market gave you $3.5 million for free. That is the avalanche. This brings us to the tipping point. This is the specific moment in time when your investment returns earn more money in a year than you do at your job. It is a surreal moment. You wake up one morning, check your portfolio, and realize your money made $5,000 while you were sleeping, which is more than you will make physically working for the next 2 weeks. That is financial escape velocity. However, getting to that first significant milestone is the hardest part of the entire journey. The late, great Charlie Munger famously said that the first $100,000 is a bitch. It is brutal. It takes the longest time and requires the most sacrifice. Munger joked that if the first 100,000 is so hard, you should probably just start with the second 100,000. Unfortunately, physics does not work that way, so you have to grind through the start. Now, a warning, when I say invest, I do not mean gambling on individual stocks because you saw a meme on Reddit. I do not mean buying call options on a company that makes electric unicycles just because a YouTuber screamed about it. That is not investing. That is a casino with better lighting. I am talking about buying the entire haystack. I am talking about low-cost index funds that track the top 500 companies in America. It is boring. It is unsexy. It is about as exciting as watching paint dry. But here is the secret. Watching paint dry is the most profitable spectator sport on earth if you own the paint store. The math is irrefutable. It is simple. A fifth grader could understand it. But if the math is so easy, why isn't everyone retired by 40? Because while the math is simple, the psychology is where everyone breaks. Let's get real about the timeline. This is the part nobody talks about on TikTok because it isn't sexy, and it doesn't fit in a 15-second clip. It is called the boring middle. You have set up the automation, you are ruthlessly saving the daily 100. You have cut the fluff, and now you wait. Years 3 through 7 are excruciatingly dull. The initial adrenaline of fixing your life has worn off, but the compound interest explosion hasn't kicked in yet. You're just trudging through the mud, day after day. This is where the weak fold. This is where the identity shift happens. You have to embrace the rich man in the poor car paradox. We are conditioned by music videos and movies to believe that wealth looks like diamond watches, designer logos, and luxury SUVs. But the truth is, wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the money that was not spent on the car. Wealth is the money sitting in your brokerage account, silently plotting your escape. When you see a guy driving a $200,000 Italian sports car, the only thing you know for sure is that he has $200,000 less than he used to. Or worse, he has $200,000 of debt and a very high insurance premium. True wealth is invisible. Debt is flashy. You have to learn to love the invisibility. You have to take pride in the fact that your net worth is skyrocketing while your wardrobe stays the same. You might be tempted to spice things up because you are bored. You might think about day trading just to feel something. Do not do it. Day trading is exciting, sure. But you know what else is exciting? Lighting your hair on fire. Neither is a good long-term strategy for survival. Effective investing should be as exciting as watching grass grow or paint dry. If you want excitement, take $800 and go skydiving. Do not look for excitement in your portfolio. If your investments are entertaining you, you are doing it wrong. The hardest emotional hurdle will be the FOMO. You will open Instagram and see your friends in Tulum drinking cocktails out of coconuts, captioning it, "Living my best life #blessed." Meanwhile, you are at home on a Friday night, eating leftovers and staring at a spreadsheet. It feels like you are losing. It feels like you are missing out. But you have to realize that they are likely financing that vacation on a credit card at 22% interest. They are renting a lifestyle. You are buying freedom. You have to keep your freedom date burned into your retinas. Every time you want to quit, every time you want to buy the shiny object, you look at that date. That date is the day you stop being an employee and start being a fully autonomous human being. That is the day you delete your alarm clock app forever. Remember, the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. You do not want to wake up at 65 realizing you traded 40 years of freedom for a bunch of plastic junk that is now sitting in a landfill. If you want to learn 10 brutal retirement regrets, most people learn too late. Watch this next video.